So CO2 utilization has always been there in nature. So photosynthesis is one of the great examples of converting CO2 into value-added products. In terms of when it was first done commercially, that was done in the UK in the late 18th century, where carbon dioxide was captured in water to give sparkling water. In terms of how we view carbon dioxide utilization now, it's the making and breaking of bonds rather than just dissolution into water. So the first real example was salicylic acid or aspirin, which has now become ubiquitous in the pharmaceuticals industry, and then the production of urea in the 1920s, where ammonia was converted into a usable fertilizer, which helped in growing populations and developing third world countries. One of the issues about CO2 is that it has a low reactivity. It's not unreactive and it's not inert, but you need energy to put into the system. So there are several things that you need to consider when you're looking at the chemistry. One is, what are the other co-reactants that go to make a product? And typically if you're looking at fuels, that's hydrogen. So where do you get the hydrogen from? You need to look at the catalysis. Catalysis is going to be absolutely key. But there are lots of examples of exotic catalysts being used which will never see an industrial process. So I think when the chemistry is being developed, it needs to have in mind that this will need to be a megaton or gigaton process. So a catalyst based on one of the endangered metals, one of the EU unsustainable metals, is not going to be an option. It has to be an earth abundant metal that is easy to recover and easy to recycle. One of the big challenges is to try and get this to work on real gases in real environments. And as always, there's the technology lag. There's some great research coming out of universities and institutions, but how do we get it to commercialization? That is absolutely key, and that is financial, it's fiscal, and it's also industrial. So we need to raise awareness that these processes can work, and they can generate profit. So we look to value-added products. And certainly the work we've done with the Global CO2 Initiative has shown that fuels, aggregates and cement are the real big winners in terms of climate change mitigation, but also in generating revenue to support that. What we have to realise is that everything is a chemical, and therefore there is an interdependency. So it may be that the waste of one industry becomes the feedstock of another. If we look at CO2 utilisation, it becomes part of the circular economy, and that circle can be a single pass circle or it can be multiple circles. So the idea is that rather than dispose of it at the end of life, it then has a second life or maybe a third life, and therefore the importance of CO2 avoidance is highly important. And it's when people start to realise that in the same way that we recycle plastics, we can recycle carbon dioxide.